This country here to the aim that.
Reporting for duty. You know, when I put this mic in my hand, I am home. And I am home because almost, wow, it makes me feel old, Rudy. From 1989, when I first went by Betty Carrington and Douglas Smith and Princess, and I can go on and on. This has been my home and my family. Do not get tied up. I do not need to be reminded of my duty to the people who have raised me. I have gray hair now, but when I started, Lydia, my hair not only was very black, I came out here at the tender age of 23. 23. I'm 60 years old now. And I've spent more time with you than outside of you, Michelle. Not true? We've been working together. I can go, where's Rhonda? Where's Rudy? Where are all of the people? Gregory has now stepped in where George and Wayne were all along. Look, I have come to Bush Hall, on this side of Bush Hall, Tyra, for you to appreciate that as we speak, Arthur Holder and I worked as one. Because that road there, Bush Hall Main Road, cannot separate this community. Bush Hall, Waterford, going right down, Bank Hall, Water Hall, going back across Spooners Hill. Ian, you are here. All of us are one community. It is just by a quirk of fate that the boundaries have been drawn so that you have the benefit of three of us. But from early on, I understood, and I say it to you, Tyra, as you join us. I have never asked somebody which part of Bush Hall they're from. And I have never said, I cannot help you because you're on the other side of the road. And similarly, I expect you that whether it is my people, whatever side of Military Road they're on, they are yours. Ian, whatever side of Spooners Hill they are on, they're yours, or Long Gap. And that is how we have lived, with love. It is not by accident that next week will be a red week. It is not by accident that next week will be a red week. It is up to you to make sure that we go doubly red when we reach Valentine's Day. But that can only happen if people come out and vote. And for the next 7-8 days, that is going to be my singular message. Whatever else I talk about, it is about getting people to understand that without the vote, there is nothing. There is no ballot box that opens up with any votes. It starts with 0. And it is like, I heard someone using the analogy, no matter how great a century, Shea Hope could make a double century tonight. But that is tonight. If he doesn't make it tomorrow, he can't get nowhere. And similarly, no matter how many times you have voted for me or for Ian, or you will now vote for Tyra, it is not the past that matters. It is the next polling day that matters. And I want to speak to you because in many respects, the manifesto of the Barbados Labour Party has been influenced by you. You in this constituency have shaped me. So that when I say to Ralph Thorne, I don't come up here to play politics. You talk about reducing VAT to 15%. But all of us know that when prices go up, they don't do what? They don't come back down. So, and one of the things that we have said, and you said it to me, there was a fella 2 Saturday mornings ago before he called the election. The fella that come from Parish Land, originally from Cave Hill, living in out Parish Land, and he stopped under the tent in the yard gap to talk to us. And he made the point about a little extra money in the pockets. And when we therefore came to determine how we are going to help you and to protect you against a cost of living crisis that has tapered off because it was really bad in 2022 and 2023, but the increases have come right down to less than 1-2% in the last year. But in spite of that, we couldn't do all that we wanted to do when the government coffers were not yet sound. If you get cut and you were bleeding, and to stop the bleeding, it is not immediately that you could go back and do everything. You got to give time for it to do what? To heal. And it is no different with the government finances. So that last year when we saw we were getting a little more money than we expected because of the corporation tax reform that we did, we said to the country, look, hold tight. We are not going to change the underlying tax structure yet because I need to make sure that this isn't a flash in the pan. I need to make sure that it will come once again. This year, we have ensured that. And in ensuring that, what we have done is to make sure that, look, we are now in a position to give back money to people. And how have we done it? There are people in this audience I can see and I know that are getting the $1,300 when the year comes because they earn less than $2,080. Those people will now get $1,700 from December this year. That is not a promise. That is the reality of what will become law should you re-elect the Barbados Labour Party next week, Wednesday. That is what Ryan Strawn's budget will look like. I go further. There are some of you who've been getting back your taxes when you pay it because you earn between $2,080 and $2,916 when the month comes. You've been paying about $100, $120 in tax at the top end of that. The ones at the bottom end would clearly pay less. You have gotten back your money. 18,000 of you in this country have gotten back every cent in tax you have paid in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and God willing, you will get it back in 2026. But we say to you that you too haven't had an ease for the 6 years. Don't mind you've been getting back that tax. And you will now get a reverse tax credit of $750 in the month of December, just like the others who get a reverse tax credit. The people now who didn't get anything before other than a lower tax rate, and we reduced your tax rate in 2019 and put money in your pockets then. We said now to you, we want to give you the same compensatory income credit. A lot of fancy words for what is really a government meeting term. Want to know what a meeting turn is? Want us put in the money when the month come? And when the turn done, your turn come, you do what? Draw it back out. So you putting in $200 or $250 or $270 or $100, and after 12 months you get what? 12 times what you put in. Not true? Well, government meeting turn. The people earning, that's what the same people who earning between 2,080 and 2,960 been getting. They put in the money, they get it back out. They file in April, they get the money in October. As a fact, 18,000 people. But we're now going and saying, look, all you who earn between $2,916 and $4,166 a month, you will get back your taxes too. So that a man or a woman earning $4,000 a month, paying $270 odd a month in taxes, when the year done, you would have paid the equivalent of $2,875 when you file your income taxes and you claim that credit. So long as the government is being managed properly, which you know the Barbados Labour Party has managed the government properly, you will get back every single cent. You will get back that $2,875 and put it in your back pocket, your front pocket, your side pocket, your pocketbook. My friends, that is putting the money back in people's hands. When you give it to the merchant, you don't know whether the merchant keeping it or sending it back to you. I tell you, every time I come in this constituency, it's be showers of blessing. What a thing, what a thing, what a thing. From the Torrance, when I first got elected in 1994, when the skies opened up. I ask you to remember the pensioners and the recipients of welfare checks, and the people who get the special needs grant. You will now get $1,200 a year in this country from this government as a cost of living cash credit. All of that is to protect you. You can take it monthly, you can take it quarterly, you can take it every 6 months, or you can take it once a year if you got an insurance bill or a big bill to pay. But the welfare beneficiaries, and Kurt, if you are still here, claim credit for this. All of the people receiving welfare benefits from the 1st of March will have their welfare benefits go up by 30%. So that if you were getting a benefit of $100, you will now get $130. If you were getting a benefit of $300, you will now get $390. If you were getting a benefit of $200, you will now get $260. This is not idle talk. And what you have instead is a Democratic Labour Party that can't even find $5 or $10 for tokens, and he likes getting out in the meeting before they talk to you. If you can't get a meeting organized, tell me, pray tell, how you can get a country run. If you can't be fair, and you heard Tyra Trotman on this platform, if you cannot be fair to the people who belong to you, how they going to treat the rest of you out there that don't belong? These things are serious. And you have the opportunity, my friends, come Wednesday, the 11th of February, to go and vote for Tyra Trotman in St. Michael Central, to vote for Ian Gooden-Edgell in St. Michael West Central, to vote for Chris Gibbs in St. Michael West, to vote for Marsha Cattle in St. Michael South Central, to vote for Kirk Humphrey in St. Michael South, to vote for Michael Lashley, who has now seen the light in the city of Bridgetown. And of course, who has been left out in that? What you gonna do with me? How you gonna treat me? They got me moving about the country from north to south. How you gonna take care of me? I ask you to give me the opportunity to continue as your member of parliament. And I say to you tonight that the people of Barbados have had the benefit of you giving me to them. I want to thank you, the people of St. Michael Northeast, because without your participation, without your support, none of what I have been able to do for the people of Barbados could be possible. And I thank you for raising me and sharing with me and allowing me to know the things that matter to you and the things that can make a difference in people's lives. I am not seeking to put money in the hands of the merchants. They will make their money as they must. If not, they can close down the business. But the people who need the most help in Barbados now are you, the people who are on the front line of the struggle. And I wish we could have done it earlier, but we had to wait until the economy could reach a certain point. As it relates to roads, the roads getting fixed. Roads have been fixed and more roads will be done. Anybody who wants to vote for a road that can be fixed in 2-3 months and end up with a Democratic Labour Party government that raid your salary and raid your pension, who will get the short end of the stick then? The people. And I say to you that the roads are being done. But tell me how many roads get built during COVID? COVID was locked down. When they even tell me that the place locked down too tight. Not a road can get doing COVID. Not a house can get built in COVID. Are our memories now so short that we forget that we lost 2.5 years as a government not being able to do things to be able to build for people? Remember, and all the talk that them talking sending about, remember garbage? My God. When we came to office, how many garbage trucks they had working? Less than 20. And this government has bought 55 garbage trucks. And we are working our way to being able to do 2 collections a week. How many buses were bought? We bought 121 buses. And the last 35 being rolled out now as we speak. No buses were bought by the Democratic Labour Party during their time. We took the public servants. They did not give you a salary increase for 8 years. And we have given you 3. And we know that wage negotiations are due this year. But we have said they must come after the regrading. My friends, I could get up here and make a lot of mock sport. And I can keep everybody laughing. But at the end of the day, I need you to know what you are voting for. You are voting for something that is real, that is substantive, and that has made a difference in your lives. To the people in Northeast, I say to you, you now have a new national stadium being built that will finish in 2.5 years. You see the 2 cranes out there working all the time. And the majority of that is being paid for by a gift from the Chinese. You tell me that I travel too much, but when I travel, I want to see what I get. You now have a new amphitheater being built in the name of Richard Stout, a man that helped enough young people in this country to be able to make a living from the talents that God gave them. You now have a new netball stadium that will allow you to play basketball and volleyball and covered Lydia for the first time, and with a wooden floor, a floor that will not have the pressure on people's knees that the concrete used to have. That is taking care of your children and your young people. And over by you, Tyra, in Waterford, we now have Carifesta House available to people, and in all of these things, the people who are vendors in this community are able to get a piece of the action and to sustain themselves. But I go further. We are going to make sure that with the Tenantries Freehold Purchase Act, there are still urban tenantries, Ian, Tyra, by us. And there are people who can still buy their land at $2.50 a square foot. The Democratic Labour Party refused to take it seriously and transfer the land to you and to give you the subsidies. I don't know what could cause them to feel that you do not deserve to own a home at a subsidized price. And there are tenantries throughout these constituencies where the people will only be required to pay $2.50 a square foot, and the government will pay the difference between $2.50 and $15. In other words, the government can pay $12.50 a square foot for you up to $5,000. That is $62,500 for you to buy a property that worth $75,000. This is the Labour Party that has worked for you, and I want you to know. And the people, anybody in Allen's land, put up your hands, all like you, Rudy, yes, all like in the back there, because that policy of the Barbados Labour Party came about in 1991, even before I was MP, because the landlords were trying to extract $5 a square foot from the people of Allen land back in 1991. And in Lower State Tenantry in St. George, the same thing was happening to Glenn Clark. And Glenn and I went to Owen Arthur and asked him to put a special regime in place to protect those of you who would otherwise be unfair and exploited by landlords, knowing full well you want to live on the tenantries for years and that you had been paying your rent religiously. My friends, the choice is clear. You in Northeast and you in St. Michael North, Davidson Ishmael, tell them about it. No. That Ralph Thorne left the people out here without saying a word when he tried to run against me. Some of you are old enough to remember it, when he turned up at Lawrence T. Gay School the afternoon, and when he lost, he didn't even have the decency to come inside and tell the people, thank you for coming out. Then he went to St. Michael North, and when he lost there, not once, but twice, he left St. Michael North, and he left the Democratic Labour Party, and he never told them he was leaving. He went out, sneak way like a what? I didn't say so. Sneak way like a what? And not a word, Davidson. Go and ask the people you are representing whether Ralph ever came and told them he was leaving. And then he goes to Christchurch South. And he do the same thing again. I predict that when Ralph is beaten in St. John next Wednesday, not a single body in St. John or the Democratic Labour Party can see when he left again. In fact, I believe that Ralph wants us to do him a favor, because Ralph has never been a man that liked a lot of work. This is the most work that he has ever had to do in his life. And I say to you tonight that other than the ability to get up and act and pomp a set, show me what he has done. Look at the record of the Barbados Labour Party. Look at my record as a member of Parliament. Look at my record as a Prime Minister. Look at the record of Ian Goodenough. Look at the record of Davidson Ishmael. You can imagine Davidson Ishmael now come and give away 250 scholarships in St. Michael North, and Ralph spent 2 elections there, and not a man can say that they get a single scholarship from Ralph Thorne. No, the choice is clear. and the benefits that you will get are clear. But I want to end on this point. It is the people of St. Michael Northeast, from Bush Hall to Long Gap to Grisette's to Whitehall to Johnson Land to Green Hill to Lewis Gap and Codrington Hill, Story Gap, behind BIM, Jackson, Jackmans, Skeets Road, Huddersfield Turning, Bournes Village, Bibby Lane, Exchange Hill. I want the rest of winter to hear me now. These are the people who have inspired in me that as leader of this country, that I have to leave a footprint that gives their children a stake in Barbados. It is the people of my constituency who have reinforced in me that if you are going to move people from poverty out into the middle class, or from lower middle income to middle and upper middle, that it is not simply about cash in your pocket. It is about being able to transfer wealth from one generation to the next generation. And it is you, from the days of Douglas Smith, who drove for Grantley Adams, who reminded me that your duty is not to come here and just beg for votes and talk with people and move along. And who said to me, if you want to make a difference in people's lives, you got to see what men like Grantley Adams did and Mr. Barra. And he told me that Mr. Barra could not implement free education if Grantley had not built St. Leonard's, Princess Margaret, West St. Joseph, which is now Grantley Adams, and Parkinson School. Because you can't say go and get a free school in if there ain't no school for you to go to. Then Mr. Barra built on that and gave people free secondary education with simply a signature. Then Tom Adams came and said to people in the plantation tenantries, get your land at 10 cents a square foot, all in Exchange Hill, all in Lears in this constituency. Huh? And then I just told you the story of how the $2.50 in the non-plantation and urban tenantries came about as a result of the people in Allen Land being made a victim. 34 years ago, $5 a square foot is the equivalent of $25 and $30 a square foot today. And that is what motivated us, Tyra, to put that policy in place. And why am I speaking so? Because at 60 years old, if I don't be the bridge to you, I see Roshana, another young socialist in this crowd. If you all don't understand your history, if you don't understand what we are doing to build block by block by block by block, to take people out of poverty, to take people out of the middle class. And I say to those in the middle class that I've already told you on Saturday night that we are doing the numbers to adjust the tax rate at the top because we know that you too, having received an ease, and I can give all the facts, having received an ease in 2019, now deserve another one. And in addition, this government, for those of you who already own land, you do not pay land taxes now if your house is $300,000 or less. And come April, if your house is valued $400,000 or less, you do not and will not pay land tax in this country. And for anybody else whose houses are over that, the first $400,000 on everybody is tax-free. Now this government has done that to put money in your pockets. But let me come back to the point that I was making for the end. We became a republic And we accepted that it is our responsibility to be truly in control of our destiny. Mr. Barr did great by making us independent. But the notion that I could not appoint an ambassador without the Queen telling me yes, or the notion that I can't have a head of state without the Queen signing it and saying, you can have permission now. Them days done. And we became a republic in 2021. And I know that virtually every prime minister before me wanted that. We did it. Just like the minimum wage, when everybody was telling me don't do it, they're going to mash up the economy. People get $6.25 before, now earning $10.71 an hour, an extra $740 a month if they work 40 hours in a week. But when we became a republic, listen to me, because some of us may not be living when the first children get to benefit from this. And I want those of you who are younger in this audience to remember what I'm saying, because you have to tell people why this is so special. There are a lot of people in here that if they had gotten a start in life would be much further. Every single one of you born in Barbados. And we have determined that we will manage our affairs with a level of competence that we can put down each and every year for each and every child born under the Republic a $5,000 share. And I have no doubt that over time, with inflation, that amount will increase. That $5,000 share for your child will be managed in the Barbados Republic Child Wealth Fund. And you can decide that you want to top it up and put a $10 a week, a $10 a month, a $200 for the birthday, $100 for the Christmas, so that what they get working for them will be compounded with interest over time, so that when they reach between 18 years old and 25 years old, they will be able to unlock that money for home ownership. Or if perchance they want to study something that we don't provide for, we provide for most things, so they're lucky. If they belong to other countries, they will have look for it. But most of that money, honestly, gonna go in home ownership, because that is what will make them shareholders in the democracy in the Republic of Barbados. And if, God forbid, there's a life-threatening disease, they have that there also to help pull on. My friends, I wanted to do this in November 2021. But we had COVID. And drunk or sober, mind your business. We had people's lives to save, and we did not know how or what would be our fate. You remember planes weren't coming? You remember the only tourists you saw is the ones that take off the cruise ship and let go to the airport. But what in catch you, in pass you. And that is because in my heart of hearts, I know that those of us who benefited from the sacrifices of others must also pay forward for the sacrifices that we will give now to make sure that those who come in the future will stand on a higher platform than all of us. And the benefit is that you are also teaching them the importance of saving. And not just saving for a rainy day, but saving to build wealth, saving to be able to have more choices. Because freedom is really about your ability to choose. Can I get the house that I want? Can I get the education that I need? Can I get the health care that I want? Can I get even the clothes that I would like? You understand? And our duty in leading you is to create choices for you. That is what true freedom is about. And therefore, this Barbados birthright dividend is important for that. But it doesn't stop us from building a new District A, because the police station at District A need modernizing God knows how long. And the last building that built there, built when I was Attorney General. Nobody else didn't do nothing since then. But we will take care of all of the accommodation for the police, because they are the ones on the front line keeping us safe. We are building a new Queen Elizabeth Hospital expansion. Almost half the space that they got there, we building on the other side of the road. And if you look at the manifesto, you see a bridge connecting the buildings over the road. Because we want to make sure that if the doctors need to move quickly, they don't go come downstairs, go through the traffic, cross the road, come back inside. We're going to build a bridge to connect it together. And that loan has already been signed with a Chinese company, and it will cost us $400 million. We have a proposal before us. There are people here in these constituencies who have to go for dialysis. And the cost of dialysis is becoming more and more prohibitive, because when people don't manage the diabetes, they're at risk of kidney failure, they're at risk of blindness, they're at risk of amputation. And we have now before us a proposal from a Bajan who says, look, I want to build a national dialysis center, and I want to do it as a public-private partnership with the government. And we believe we can bring down the cost of treatment by 30 to 35%. That is in the manifesto too. And if you give us the vote on the 11th of February, these are the things that we're moving forward right now. Let me talk about a national rehabilitation center. Fancy words for what? Men playing football, foot get licked up, ligaments torn, people getting car accidents, need somewhere to rehabilitate. Too many stories of people only getting therapy once a week or once every 2 weeks. We want to build a national rehabilitation center with the private sector as well, to make sure that when things happen to your bones and your body, that you can take care of it good when you're young, because God knows when you get old what will happen to them and what will happen to you when the pain starts to lick in. My friends, so that when I talk to you about the Bajan birthright dividend, it is not at the expense of all of these other projects. But this government has managed your affairs to the point where the entire international community has confidence in how we manage, and they have reduced our interest rates. They have said that we have been able to be upgraded. Sagicor just announced that in their restructuring, while they will keep their main headquarters in Toronto, that the Caribbean, because Sagicor owns business in America, they own business in Canada, they own business in the Caribbean. Little company that started about here in the 1830s or 1850s, left us because of the credit ratings. They have now said that they are coming back to Barbados to establish their Sagicor Caribbean company. Not Jamaica, which actually got the majority of the business up there, or Trinidad, which also got it. They're coming back to Barbados. They will only come back to Barbados if they feel that we are doing things right. So if you don't want to listen to us, listen to the international community. Listen to the private sector who are choosing Barbados as a home. Look and see where people put in their investments. And look and see how when people believe in you, they charge you less and less and less interest. That is exactly what is happening to us now. So all that is left to be done. I will not get back on a platform out this side again, I want you to send the message. The world is in a funny place. And more than ever, the world needs to know that Barbados is acting with strength and as one. There are some who say, man, when I don't need the vote, when I can win. Foolishness. You may end up getting something you don't expect. I know what it was, Tyra, for Arthur Holder. When Arthur left Hill Road in 2013, Rudy Grant, you know, expecting to win the government. Owen Arthur pulled me one side and he said, Mayor, when we win this week, I want you to be Minister of Finance. I said, boss, we talk. 2 nights later, I sat in that constituency office cross there. And about 10 o'clock, I called Owen. And I said, Skipper boy, this ain't looking good. Arthur Holder lost by how many votes? Less than a pack of cigarettes. Want to understand what I'm telling you? I do not take anything for granted. Joe Atherley at the time lost by less than 200 votes. And for the sake of 200 votes, you all were sentenced to 5 years, 90 days of hard labor under Frandel Stewart. If you make the same mistake again, you will get, and they already tell you the hand, because every other prime minister I know about the world and thing, calling an election after 4 years is not considered an early election. Everybody know that you're in a state of play. But Ralph has already told you that if he was ever to get in power, it is going to be the full 5 years and almost 90 days like Frandel. Do you want to gamble with your future? So all who's saying, when I win already, tell them, show me the votes. If I win already, show me the votes. And if you can't show me the votes, get out there and vote. All who say that they're voting for an opposition, let me deal with you now. This country had an opposition of 14 members in 2013. Parliament had 30 people, 16 in government, and you could not have a stronger opposition, because if you did, it would be a tight parliament. And you still had 5 years and 90 days of hard labor under Frandel Stewart. What use the opposition did to you then? All we could do was talk and wait. The difference was that we didn't only talk and wait, we planned. And that is why we were able to hit the ground quick, and play the shots that we played. I am saying to you that for the last 7.5 years, as Prime Minister of this country, I reduced the power of a Prime Minister. Before I came to office, the Prime Minister could choose and was choosing all the judges in this country. I gave up that power and created a law called the Judicial Advisory Appointments Act. And on that committee sits the former President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the former Chief Justice of Barbados, a representative of the Barbados Bar Association, and a representative of civil society. I didn't need an opposition in Parliament to do what is right by the people of this country. When we became a republic, prior to that, a Prime Minister got to choose handpick. The Governor General alone, and not a fella could tell you anything. You send the letter to the leader of the opposition, and that's that. And then you send it up to the Queen. we changed the law, the Constitution, to make it clear that no president of Barbados can be elected without a 2/3 majority in both the House of Assembly and the Senate. I can go on and on. We passed the Public Financial Management Act that forces us to be able to lay certain documents. Last week, before the end of this month, I had to sign a document to give the entire country, including the opposition, the state of affairs of the government's finances. Never ever before this Labour Party government have you had that kind of transparency and commitment to good governance. And I get angry when I hear people telling me about transparency. When you have not yet had things, there are certain things that sometimes take time, but you will get it always. And when people have stepped on the crease in this government, including people that Ralph Thorne should know well, the government has taken action, however which way, to stop it and stop the bleeding. I cannot guarantee that only good will be done by every citizen of this country. But I know that when citizens step on the line, then they must be prepared to pay the price. Doesn't mean you don't give them a second chance, because anybody and everybody can fall. And when they step back up, so long as they are prepared to do right and to do good, they must be given an opportunity to live again in this country. But I want you to know that those of you who say you are voting for an opposition, take care that when you go to vote for an opposition, if you voted for one, and 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 you come down the line, you will end up with a government, not an opposition. And then who will pay the price? A government that cannot even pay tokens to get the lights on at a meeting? A government that locking out people that belong to them? A government that tells you Barbados first, BIM first, but tells CBC they ain't sending the body for interview and go on TTT Trinidad TV tonight in a yellow tie because yellow is the code down there. Well, tell you right off, yellow is the curse in Barbados. My friends, you know that I can keep it real in Bush Hall. Real. And we need to go out there and tell people, if you feel that everybody voting for an opposition is a wise thing, then understand that you can end up with a government. I want to speak to those who say, I am voting at all. Because that is what happened in the United States of America. And the Democrats had people who vexed about this, vexed about that, but they now feel that, good Lord, whatever I was vexed about could never be worse than what I'm facing now. Have eyes to see and have a brain to be able to think and analyze. And I want you, when you leave here, if you got a son that say he wasn't voting, sit down and reason with him. If you got a grandmother that say, Lord, I ain't know if I'm able, say, Grand, I can come and carry you. It is only so long. We can make sure that you get back home safe. Because at the end of the day, this is not even a lotto. This is your life for the next 5 years. And we know that if your life goes south, it is hard as hell to bring it back up. So my friends, work with me and help me. We are not perfect. I've told you that night after night. But we have been a good government, and we have done good by the people of this country. The record, the red record, is almost too much to account for. There are men in this audience who will now get paternity leave for the first time in this country's history to be able to bond with their children. There are children that will get a Bajan birthright dividend. There are women who will get 2 extra weeks of maternity leave. There are people whose minimum wage is almost double what they were getting when we came to office in 2018. There are people who will now benefit from all of the measures I talked about at the beginning, who will have more money in their pocket. There will be changes in education so that your child is not relegated only to bookwork and at the end of the day is relegated to the side of outside. Because if you can't be good enough to go to Harrison College or Cormier or Queen's College, people are scoring you in this country. That is foolishness. Chris Sinclair, Michael Lashley, Junior Allsop went to Garrison Secondary. My director of finance here in Carrington went to Parkinson School. I can go on and on with people who went to schools in this country that were good. And if we don't give people a chance without making them feel that they're foolish or that they do something wrong and they ain't even get to live their life yet, what foolishness is that? That belonged to the colonial masters, not the Republic of Barbados. And the Bajan birthright dividend, that is why I tell you that thank God my parents gave me the essence of who I am. But the people in St. Michael Northeast is who take that and at 23 years old get me to learn life and get me to understand things that were not part of my experience and to be able to appreciate and to empathize and to build and to be able to work out what really matters to families and individuals and not to be so serious as not to be able to laugh. Because in life, if you don't learn to laugh, you go mad and write your epitaph. Wednesday, 11th of February. I want Tyra Trotman to be the Member of Parliament for St. Michael Central. I want to thank Arthur Holder for his service, for his dignified representation. And I say simply to you, Mr. Speaker, to you we are forever indebted. I want Davidson Ishmael, Cross in Eden Lodge, and Green Hill, Codrington, not the top of Green Hill, sorry, and Whitehall. I want Ian Gooden Edgell, Fairfield, Blackrock, all across Spooner Hill. I want Neil Rowe in the farm and Blackrock, Bridge Gap, Brandons. I want Michael Lashley in the city of Bridgetown. I want Marsha Cattle from Carrington Village right up to Britain's Hill. I want Trevor Prescott crossing the Ivy, Licorice Village, Bell. And forgive me, oh Lord, the people of Bellevue, the work is already being done. And William Dugan is in front of me to remind me that we shall acquire that land and convey title to you, each and every resident in Bellevue. So you will end up with both water and land. I want Kirk Humphrey from the Bayland to Britain's Hill to Dalkeith. I want Santia Bradshaw in the Pine, in Highgate Hall, in Wildy. I want Chris Gibbs in St. Michael West, all across Eagle Hall, Bank Hall, the Garden Land, Goodland. I want Tyra Trotman in the center in St. Michael Central. And when all is said and done, if you don't give me Amor Mottley and St. Michael Northeast, there is no one to take charge. St. Michael, you have been good to us, and this government has been good to you. We have only just begun. Let it continue. And William, Christchurch West, piece of St. Michael too. So bring along Dugan in Christchurch West. Let next week be that red week. Let next week be that red week. And I look forward to meeting with you on the night of the 11th of February. And just as I reported for duty tonight, I want you to report for duty when the returning officers say, this is the duly elected member for St. Michael Central, Tyra Trotman. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael West Central, Ian Goodenedgel. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael North, Davidson Ishmael. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael Northwest, Neil Rowe. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael West, Chris Gibbs. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael South Central, Marsha Cattle. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael South, Kurt Humphrey. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael Southeast, Sandra Bradshaw. This is the duly elected member for the city of Bridgetown, Michael Lashley. This is the duly elected member for St. Michael East, Trevor Prescott. And when all is said and done, please tell me who will be the duly elected member of St. Michael Northeast. Good night and God bless you.